Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing the biggest LEGO Infinity Saga set in 2021, set number 76193, the Guardian's Ship. This has 1,901 pieces, 6 minifigures, and it retails for $150 in the US. This releases on August 1st, but I got it a little bit early thanks to Zavvi.com, which actually lets you import sets from the UK for fairly cheap, so I got this for the same price as it is in the US. This is our first Star-Lord minifigure in 3 years, and he looks really good. I really like his torso printing. He has dual molded dark red legs with black boots, and he even has a new hairpiece. It's not a new mold or color, but it's the first time it's being used on Star-Lord. It's the Superman hair recolored in, I believe this is like a nougat color. I think it looks good. It's a little bit too polished for Star-Lord because his hair never looks that nice, but the curl is pretty accurate. And like I said, I like that he has dual molded legs. I just wish that they had a little bit of printing because, again, the printed legs on the Star-Lord minifigure from 2014 are still the best in my opinion. And while I like the boots here, I think that they would just be a little bit better with a little bit of printing. He also has pearl silver blasters in this set. This mold was made for him in 2014, but they've always come in pearl dark gray before now, so it's nice to see those in a new color. He has a nice amount of back printing, and this head is the same as the one from the Jurassic World sets because it's the same character played by Chris Pratt. This is our first Mantis minifigure in 4 years. We last saw her in 2017, and she looks really good as well. I love her torso printing, and that exclusive hair mold for her does return. Her face was made for her in 2017. It has been used on a lot of other characters since then, you know, mostly just like kind of random troops and stuff in Jurassic World and Star Wars. This hairpiece is rubbery, so you can like kind of bend those antennae, and so as a result, it does kind of stick to the head. You do have to kind of, you know, work it off. But she does have a very nice amount of back printing, a great alternate face. However, I really don't think this minifigure is perfect. This is nitpicking, but I really would have loved to see solid black eyes on Mantis because she doesn't have pupils in the MCU. But, you know, LEGO's not going to make a new print for this set, so okay, whatever. But the thing that's really annoying to me is that she should have a skirt piece like Scarlet Witch needs, or she should have like a little bit of leg printing because her costume does come down the legs, and I think it just cuts off too abruptly. Rocket Raccoon also looks very nice. I'll get his gun out of the way first. This is probably my least favorite build for one of his guns, just because I mean I don't think it's that nice, but it's still great to get a built-up gun, and it has a very nice printed piece, which I don't think I've seen before. I'll just end up breaking the whole gun, but yeah, that's a very nice print. It honestly looks like it would be a sticker, but it's not, so I was pleasantly surprised by that. The minifigure itself is supposed to reflect his endgame outfit, but I think it does a pretty poor job of that because this is dark bluish gray and he wears a dark blue outfit in Endgame. That's disappointing to me because this is coming out 2 years after the movie, so LEGO should be able to get things exactly accurate. So I really wish that this was dark blue instead of a gray. That being said, the printing is very nice. You can see his red scarf up there, and this is a brand new head mold entirely. It's almost exactly the same as the old one as far as I can tell, just without the shoulder pads, and the other big switch here is that his fur color is now brown instead of gray. I never had a problem with the gray Rocket Raccoon figures, but I do think brown looks better on him, and I really like that new head mold. We'll take a closer look at the back printing in a second, but he does just have the same expression as the older figures with that smiling face, and he has some goggles printed on the top of his head. There's a better look at his back printing. And the only other thing that I don't like about this figure is that you can see the brown of the tail peeking through at the hips. That's disappointing to me because LEGO can print on the front of that piece. They've done it in the past, so now that they've shown us that they can do it, I think it's really lazy of them to not do it in the future. We had the same problem in the Looney Tunes CMF series because it kind of makes the figures look like they're wearing a crop top, like their belly is showing. And again, if LEGO can print on that, it shouldn't be that hard to do that for this set. Groot is by far my favorite minifigure of the set. A lot like Rocket, he's now changed colors. Instead of being reddish brown, he's now a dark tan, which is something that, you know, I used to see people asking for. And again, it never bothered me. I always liked the brown Groot, and honestly, I thought I would dislike dark tan. But I think this looks great. Like I said, I think that this is the best Groot figure that LEGO has done. He is so detailed. He's using the same head mold as, the Team Groot figure from Infinity War, but now he's got like sand green moss printed at the tips. And I'm just really pleased with this figure. I think that it's outstanding. We have a repeat of Thor from the Endgame Final Battle set. Now, I like that Thor's included here, but in the scene from Endgame when he's on the Benatar, he's in casual outfit. That doesn't really bother me too much because I don't need that version of Thor, in that like whatever cable knit sweater. I think that this is a perfectly fine variant. It's more so that I don't see why Thor had to be in this set. I would have rather had another Guardian instead of him, and maybe there wasn't enough budget for that. But I really feel like this set needed Nebula and Drax over Thor and a random Chitauri, who we'll get to in a second. Like I said, it's a good variant of Thor, but I still don't really care about that build for Stormbreaker. I don't love it. The hairpiece is fantastic. The face print is also fantastic, and he does have a little bit of back printing as well. If I can hold up the cape. Here's the random Chitauri, just the same as the other ones that we've seen in these 2021 sets. The gun build is nicer than the Endgame Final Battle one for sure, but not as nice as the one in the Black Panther Dragon Flyer set. And like I said, I prefer the face on the 2019 version over this one, but I do like the torso quite a bit. This is our second full-size minifigure compatible LEGO Benatar. We did get a polybag version as well, but I'm not counting that. And I think it's really great that we're getting, a UCS style thing, because this is a large detailed display piece on a stand, even though it's not a direct-to-consumer set. But honestly, I kind of thought we'd always get a Milano before we ever got a Benatar. I didn't really see the need for this set after, the pretty good $70 version in 2018. But I ended up liking this build a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm going to walk you through it. I do love the stand because it's actually on a turntable, this entire ship. So you can just spin the ship around on its stand. It's kind of knocking into the wall there. But that is a really nice feature. And again, something that I wasn't really expecting. The box showed that it could rotate on the stand, but I'm just amazed by that because it is a very secure connection. So even though you can kind of see it wobbling around, this is, one of the sturdiest UCS stands I've ever seen. It's not going to fall off. It's not going to break, even though it does have a bit of natural flex. I'm just going to show you how it attaches to the stand now because I don't really know if I'm going to keep it on or take it off. But basically, this isn't like other UCS sets where they kind of just slot in without connecting to anything. This is actually very securely connected. It's kind of hard to take off at times. And I didn't mean to break it, but it's actually really securely connected with 4 little Technic axles that go into the bottom of the ship, but I'll just flip this whole thing over and show you the bottom a little bit later. Like I said, the stand is UCS style, but it does have, a lot of interesting Technic pieces that you don't usually see on the stands, like these rounded bits, and then obviously that whole turntable with the giant gear. However, the one thing I hate about it is that it's got no UCS plaque. LEGO does UCS-style plaques for Star Wars sets that aren't UCS, like the, not the helmets, but like the displayable droids and buildable characters. And to me, this stand looks completely empty without one. I think it deserved a UCS plaque because of the amount of care that went into the set. And if you're going to have one of these sleek black stands, it should come with an information plaque. It would be like literally an extra 5 pieces and 1 sticker, so I really don't understand why LEGO couldn't have included it here, because it doesn't matter how you display the ship. I prefer to display it angled down rather than angled up, which is technically backwards, according to how LEGO shows it, but there are a ton of technicals here, so you'd be able to just pull out the plaque and put it on whichever side you want to display it from. Like I said, I didn't really see the need for a UCS-style Benatar, but this is like one of my favorite Marvel builds ever. I'm surprised at how much I like it, and I definitely started liking it more after I rebuilt my old Benatar and compared the two. I will be doing a comparison video. It'll come out like in the next day or so. But just spinning this around 360 degrees again, I really like the balance between smoothed and studded surfaces. It's achieved very well on the top of the ship, and the wings, or like the wing tips, they are mostly studded rather than smooth, but I still think that they look really good. So I'll just spin this around for you guys, and then we'll start to zero in on some of the finer details of this ship. All right, I've put this back on the stand so that we can get a bit of a better look at the sides of the ship. You can see that we have some really nice shaping here with the curves because these little arch pieces are used, and then you also just have a bunch of sloped and tiled over areas. So I think that that captures the bulbous appearance of the ship a little bit better than the old Benatar. You've also got like these air intakes up here that are made with a bunch of little wedge plates. So I think that that was a really clever design. And then of course you can start to see some of the details of the undersides of the wings, but we'll get to those in just a second. I want to focus in down here because there's a bunch of really great mechanical detailing that I wasn't expecting, and a piece just fell off the stand. But you have these little orange flaps made using like these shield pieces. I like, you know, super finite detail like that. You can also kind of move these things up and down a little bit. It's kind of hard to get it in there now that it's built. But you even have just like little gold bars sticking out at the top. And then you've got like these hydraulic ram-like pieces or assemblies. These are made using those new kind of like 2L bars with that thick band in the center. And the reason that these are here is because they actually allow these pods at the back to move. These engine pods are something that were missing from the first iteration of the Benatar because LEGO had that escape pod set that could attach to it. But I'm really glad that they were brought in here. They are very detailed and they're really good builds. This thing is pretty heavy, but even each of these individual assemblies are heavy. You've got some nice sticker detailing, but these actually move in and out. As I'm sure you noticed, they were in a different position earlier in the review. And as you move them out, those like hydraulic arms actually move. And so I think that that's just a really great little detail. And I really just love the way that works. I think it just adds a really special little touch to this set. Opening them up fully, you can see that you've got a little bit more sticker detail, but a ton of, you know, just brick-built mechanical detail, which I really appreciate, especially back here. And you do have just a couple of these kind of like boat slider pieces on the ends to, you know, show that these are the forward thrust, and then, you know, there's like vertical thrust from the wings. We'll flip this entire thing over onto its bottom before we get to the interior because the bottom is actually insanely detailed. But the other really nice thing about these pods is that they have flaps that can extend out from them. So you can move this wedge piece out and you can also move these out, and they expose even more great detailing in there, including, you know, like more gold bars. And I really love that because that really helps you get that bird-like look of these Ravager ships, and it's just so easy. Everything slots together really nicely. They're just on little mini ball joints, and again, I just love how neatly they tuck into the pod and how neatly they come out. The other side is pretty much the same, so now we'll take a look at the top before we go onto the bottom. The top of the ship is really detailed. I love the crisp lines that you get from, you know, just the natural wedge plates, but then from these, you know, little kind of half square tiles, these diagonal tiles. And you do have some patches of rust that are asymmetrical. I appreciate that as well. And there's just a lot of really nice details on the wings between the stickers. And then you kind of have this almost like manhole cover. I don't even know what to call it, but that's what it reminds me of. So I really appreciate that. However, one thing I will say is that the stickers are too big. That's a really weird thing to say, but I haven't encountered this issue before where it's like they weren't cut small enough, because usually stickers on a 2x2 Lego piece, you know, like they have a little bit of room on all sides. However, these ones go like right up to the edge at the top and the bottom. So they're just weirdly larger than like every other 2x2 tile sticker I've ever encountered. And it was really weird for me to have to put it like so close to the edge and not leave any room. Finishing down the center of the ship, we just have a little bit of greebling on the top, and then we have some transparent canopy pieces back here. I believe this is supposed to represent where the escape pod is, because this is where it's located on the real ship and on the Lego version. I just didn't really think that on the real ship you could see a second windshield back here, but that is a nice detail. So I like that they're suggesting that the escape pod is back there, even if they don't actually have a detachable version of it. As for the wings, these have fixed angles, so you can angle down these plates, which we'll take a look at in a second, but you cannot angle this section and you can't angle this one. It's just affixed permanently to the side of the body. We do have a sticker over here. I think that that, you know, helps with the transition from orange to gray, and this entire assembly is kind of just clipped on like other Lego Ravager ships like the Milano and the old Benatar, where it's just kind of stuck onto the front. And now we can finally get to like the wing tip sections. Like I said, these are very studded, extremely studded compared to the rest of the ship, and you do have a little bit more circular detail over here. And I was actually quite surprised to find out that they can't move, because I expected them to be able to move up and down like the old one was. However, it's the inner flap here that moves up and down, so you can actually get a pretty good range of motion out of that, and this does have some more tile work than the rest of, of the wingtip. And then at the back of the wings, you do have some more thrusters with some, blue engine lights, and you actually have some more flaps here that can move down, again, just helping to give more of that bird-like look. And I completely forgot that we skipped over the front, so before we move on to flipping this onto its back, I really like this new windshield piece. It is a new print, and it's molded in transparent dark purple for the first time. This is technically inaccurate because the canopy on the old set was trans clear. I'm pretty sure it is just trans clear on the actual ship as well. But, when they fly through space, it does have a kind of like purpley blue tinge. So I really prefer this piece, even though it's technically inaccurate. It's like it's reflecting the color of the space that the ship is flying through. And so I think it just makes this look a lot more interesting than, a trans clear canopy would. And we do have really nice shaping around the side of this thing. Like I said, on the old set, the shaping was achieved fairly well, but it's just so much smoother and more detailed here. You can see you have kind of like those half stud offsets or one stud offsets of, like these sloped bits. You have a couple of binocular pieces at the bottom for greebling, and I just really like the way that, the sides of this thing are shaped. All right, so now we've got the ship on its back. I've tried to, kind of give a good angle here, but the biggest thing to look at are the engines. I'll just go ahead and lift this up. So we do have these large blue engines made using these 10x10 dish pieces. These are a normal transparent light blue, but on the inside we have like an iridescent trans light blue, like the color that's on Elsa's ice castle. I think that's really interesting. Having the iridescent piece below a normal piece gives a very nice effect. And, you can really feel like this could thrust up off the ground. You can also see some nice, like kind of tapering shaping back here. And this is where the stand connects to the body. One axle here, and then one there and one there. I do kind of wish that there was one piece kind of just going down the center to join this all together now that I'm looking at it from the bottom. But we also have some more vertical thrusters on the sides of the wings, on the undersides of the wings, I mean. And then all the way back here at those engine pods, you do have a ton more thrusters over here. So that's really nice to see. I love how many of these like transparent light blue boat stud pieces you get in the set. And overall, I'm just really happy with the bottom of this ship, considering, you're never going to see it. All right, and now get ready to say goodbye to my fawning over this ship, because I hate the interior. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. It's fine. I just think that it's pretty weak for a set of this size. So one way to access it is you can just lift up the cockpit. However, the entire cockpit front also hinges open, and this is where my annoyances start, because this is just a normal, just like clip connection right up here. And I hate that, because on the old set, it was a ratcheted connection, which is a lot better. Because when I'm like flipping this thing over, the front just falls open really easily. There's not enough friction in there. And it's annoying, because if I'm just trying to open up the cockpit piece, it ends up lifting the whole section up. If this was ratcheted, it would stay where it is and let me just lift up that purple cockpit. So you can start to see the interior through here. I do like, the little lights in there. And if you lift this up fully, you can see it even more. And I really actually like the detail of like these telescope pieces up here. But there's an easier way to get inside. You can, of course, just remove sections of the roof. So back here, this section should come off first. It's fairly easy to just pull it off. And then this one you can grab from back here. But this piece is kind of hard to remove on its own just because there's no good area to grab it from. So you really need to take off the back before you take off the front roof. And I've just gone ahead and removed that cockpit windshield section altogether so that it's easier for us to get inside. You have a little seat at the front. You can sit someone there or stand someone because it fits Rocket, but it is a full 2x2 space, so someone else could sit there if you want. Sadly, he either has to have his arms like up or super far back to be able to fit with the like the windshield, which I'll show in a second. But actually, I shouldn't have even sat him down. I should have put Quill in first, because you do have a real chair back here, the only real chair in the set, which is kind of annoying to me. And you also have a couple of these zip line handle pieces, which work as joysticks. I think that that's, really clever parts usage. Lego has done that before, and they look really good. So you can have him holding on to the controls there. You can sit Rocket right in front. And then let me put this piece back on so you guys can see what I'm talking about with the hands. So Rocket's hands weren't out of the way, so he was just kind of forced out of his seat. That, like I said, is really annoying. So if you put his arms up, then he'll be able to fit in. But even if you put them down now, then when this thing opens, it's going to knock him out of place. So that's kind of annoying to me because I really feel like he shouldn't be sitting so forward. As for the rest of the interior, it is laughably small for a $150 set. This is honestly like, it's very detailed. It's pretty nice, but it's just kind of like the saddest interior I've seen on one of these large Lego ships because there's just no room to do anything. So I'll show you guys some of the details first, and then I'll try cramming minifigures in here because it is so much harder than it should be. All right, I've got this thing back on the stand. Hopefully that will help show off the interior because, like I said, it's really hard to get inside. So we've got a couple of clips for weapons on the walls. That's nice. You can see one seat down in there. I don't love that. It looks like a stool. I would have preferred a real Lego seat, especially because when I was getting Mantis out of the ship earlier, her legs stuck to that seat and just pulled it straight up. And because it's so hard to get fingers in there, it was really hard to put it back down. There is a seat like that on the other side as well. Hoping you guys can see this. It's really tough to get a camera into this interior. But then on the wall over here, we have a little table sticking out with a donut on it, and you can see a sticker with Gamora. That is a very nice sticker. That's from the end of Endgame when, you know, they're going to start their search for Gamora, which I presume Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be about. So that's a nice sticker. I like that detail. On the other side of the wall, I'll just try spinning this around so that you guys can see that a little bit better. We have a little coffee maker with a red cup. I guess that's nice, but it's kind of a useless detail because do the Guardians make coffee on this ship? You do have a doorway to the back, which we'll take a look at in a second. But first I want to show you guys through to the front where you do have another doorway, but you've got some nice stickers up there on 1x6 tiles. And then you do have these lights over each of the doorways. All right, and I just broke off the entire doorway so it's easier for you to see into that back room area. There's just a bunch of mechanical detail on the walls, which is nice. I mean, you've got some cool grate pieces on the side. You've got, you know, some long bars and just binoculars and lights or whatever. But I mean, okay, that's a useless section. It's just some mechanical detailing on a wall. And it is so hard to fit a minifigure in there because, as you can see, there's only 8 studs of space in each of those little rooms, which is very restricting. Okay, it's also nice that they have tables coming out the side with a donut and a coffee machine, but it just restricts the amount of minifigures that you can put in there because it takes up so much more space. All right, so now we're gonna try to get figures in here. I forgot to mention, but there are some clips down there. Let's try putting Stormbreaker in because Thor won't fit with Stormbreaker into that back section. It is so hard to get your fingers in here. I don't even know if you guys can see because I feel like my hand is taking up the entire screen, but it is just nearly impossible. Yeah, look, I dropped Stormbreaker. It is nearly impossible to get your fingers into this tight space because it's only it is a 4 by I don't know how many studs it is, but it's impossible to get fingers in here, at least adult fingers. And this is whatever, yeah, the age is 14 plus, but I don't know what 14-year-old would have tiny enough fingers to be able to get, you know, weapons, tall weapons into those spots. And I think something broke off, but I don't really know what it was, so I'm not going to worry about that. Oh, I think it was off the stand again. But let's try putting Thor into this space at the back. Without Stormbreaker, it's a lot easier, so you can get him in there into that doorway. Then I'll grab a Mantis so that we can sit her down in one of the seats. So let's get her in there. That wasn't too bad of a fit. And then we'll put Teen Groot in the middle section. He can be staring at a photo of Gamora. All right, so we have 3 figures in there right now. I could clip, you know, Stormbreaker to one of these clips. And oh no, I can't clip it there because then it would run into Mantis's head. So let's clip it over there. So now we have 3 minifigures in here, and there's not much space for more. You can put 1 more in the seat across from Mantis. Maybe you could get 1 more where Groot is standing. If I move him here, you could get 1 more right there. But you can't get another one in where Thor is because you can't move him any more back on the studs because he'll knock into the detailing. So all in all, this $150 set can fit 2 people up front, 2 people in the middle, and then 3 people in the back. So that's what, 7 minifigures? I could have tried putting the Chitauri in there, but that's 7 minifigures that can fit in this set. That's not a bad amount, but again, they're all cramped. They're not fitting comfortably. And the thing is that that's not at all an improvement over past vehicles. So just for a quick comparison, I'm going to bring in the old Milano set from 2014. My interior on this one is modified, so bear that in mind, but I know where I modified it. So there used to be only one seat up front and also only one seat at the back. The yellow chairs are the ones that came with the set. But I mean, compare this interior to the new Benatar. You could fit one person here, two people quite comfortably here, and one person at the back. So that was 5 seats in, 5 proper seats, like chairs with armrests in a 2014 set. Then it can be easily modified to fit 2 people or 3 people at the front and at least 2 people at the back because the chair used to face the mixtape. So, I mean, to me, that is just shameful because there's the interior on a $150 set and here is the interior on a $75 set. Again, I might have changed the floor layouts in the front and at the back, but the middle section is the same. And, I didn't mess with the foundations of it. So I know that the Benatar is, it's more of a collector set. So it has a ton more detail than the interior of the Milano had. But to me, it is still absolutely stupid that it can barely fit all of these figures. And also that even in the seating area, which is almost exactly the same as the Benatar set from 2018, it doesn't even have chairs. It just has tiny little stool pieces. Again, that just is really lame to me and I absolutely hate it. All right, well, that does it for the build. So let me give you guys one last good look at this thing on the stand and then we can move on to the box extra pieces and the instructions. Here are the extra pieces. Here's the box for this set. It's a nice large size and I really love, just the background with the Benatar speeding through space. Gotta reach around. On top, we've got Peter Quill. On the side, we just have more of that comic book art. On the other side, we have the very nice Marvel logo. And then all the way at the back, it does show the ship on its stand, and it shows that the stand rotates, which, is a nice feature to advertise. However, the interior shots here, I feel are kind of misleading because there is no way you're ever going to be able to see the interior like that. It is impossible pretty much to see all of the detailing in the back of the room where Groot is standing right now. So I feel that makes it makes the interior look more roomy than it actually is. We've got a nice big instruction manual here. Oh, I did want to show the sticker sheet. I forgot to show that, with the extra pieces. But there weren't too many stickers for a set of this size. I actually thought it was a very nice amount, just good enough to provide, some nice detailing, but it wasn't excessive. Then all the way at the back, we do have an ad for the other Infinity Saga sets over here. So that's nice to see, although once again, excluding the retailer exclusives. So overall, I really love this set from the outside. It is a wonderful display piece. It looks so much better than the 2017 version, even though that one was also really good. However, I still think it's just kind of odd. Why make this over the Milano? I feel the Milano is still more iconic, even though this was in Infinity War and Endgame. It's people don't even know the name of it. They just call it the Guardian's ship. And the last set was called Thanos Ultimate Battle. Both of the Milano sets, people knew the name, so they called it the Milano in both versions of that set. So I think it's odd to make the less iconic Guardians ship. I also think it's odd, the minifigure selection. We do get 4 great exclusive Guardians minifigures, but where's Nebula and Drax? We still don't have an endgame accurate Nebula with the orange stripe. Drax hasn't come in a set since 2017. He's famously one of the hardest Marvel minifigures to get a hold of. And we have this random Chitauri, he's just sitting on the stand because he has no place in this set. That figure shouldn't be here, quite frankly. I understand maybe they didn't have enough budget to make, new prints. But honestly, I would have rather had a whole another figure like Nebula with 2 new prints instead of a new molded head for Rocket Raccoon that's almost exactly the same as his old head. So that's just my opinion. That Rocket minifigure also kind of annoys me because he's still the wrong color, even though it's 2 years after Endgame and, other toys have had Rocket Raccoon in dark blue. So I don't know why he's in gray for Lego. And like I said, I don't like the interior of this thing at all. The old Benatar could fit 4 minifigures sitting down. It had a cargo space, and then if you attached that $20 escape pod set, you got space for 7 minifigures plus a cargo space. This set has space for 7 minifigures, barely, if you cram them in, like, standing back to back. So that's honestly my biggest annoyance with this set, because a $150 set should not have such a cramped interior. And I really would have preferred it if the designer had put, like, more pieces into the body of the craft than, like, you know, like the pods, for example. The pods are great, but I would have been fine if they had half of the amount of detail that they do, and instead we had more interior space. So that's how I feel about this. I still think it's worth picking up. I think it's a great value for the price, but if you're an interior person like me, I do not think you're going to like it very much. That's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I will see you guys with some Infinity Saga comparison videos very soon. Bye for now.